Hello and welcome everybody. How's it going? Woo! All right. Oh, what an intro. I know. I'm sorry. Welcome. Thank you for coming. I am Anduin and Lloyd, joined by my glorious guildmaster and co-host Anduin and. So Anduin, how are you doing today?
It's a good day. I was power washing today, so I'm exhausted, but
Power
I'm
washing.
excited to be here. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
power washing the house.
Oh boy, you've been working on that house for
Yeah.
way too long. You gotta settle
Oh,
down so
dude,
that we
it
can play Ashes of Creation together.
it looks exciting. It's great. I'm trying to get it done, so all I can have to focus on is ashes. You see, big brain.
Oh, okay. I see. All right, well, we're coming at you live from the Ashes of the Grey. We're a guild called the Grey Sentinels, and we are an RP PvX guild for Ashes of Creation, and we're just here to talk about a game that is obviously very close to completion with a bit of a psych. At least it's close to
It's
Alpha
already
2.
here. Didn't you know, Lloyd?
Yeah, it's one realm.
It's coming out. It's here, man.
Oh boy. And well, yeah, no, we're at least close to Alpha 2. So that's a good thing, right? So we had a banger of a dev update literally Wednesday, and boy, is there a lot to talk about. I don't know how much you know about servers and stuff, but there was a bunch of server meshing stuff. There's a lot of confusion in the community with Asmongold thinking that the entire realm was going to be like one big mega server, which is not true, obviously. So there's been a lot of things happening.
A lot of server meshing, Lloyd.
Yes. But yeah, I know that we've got a lot to talk about. Is there anything that you'd like to start off with?
Let's go down with like a little bit of art. Let's start off with art reveals, stuff that has happened within the community and stuff.
Sure, what you got going on?
Well, I mean, we got a new recruitment poster that we'll be unveiling or putting out with our recruitment ad this week. The art was done by Fantasy Amy, and honestly, it came out pretty well. One of our members, Garrett, had kind of made the design and everything for it, and put it all on paper. So, well, paper, quote unquote. But but it's looking good. We do not play in Europe. However, we do have a number of members who are going to be playing from Europe. We also have people who are Nighthawks. I mean, Lloyd, you play till all hours of the day and then you sleep.
Bro, my sleep schedule doesn't exist. Okay.
Yeah. So, like, we recruit in people who, regardless of their time zone, we bring them in because the idea with Grey Sentinels is we have members that are going to be active around the clock. They're going to be on, at different hours. So we intend to have events, organized raids, caravans, what have you, at off hours of the day as well, to cater to our players that aren't there during prime time. I think it's really important to cater to not just your core, but also, general people within the community outside of that. The other thing is we will be on the East Coast for a server. So we can have our EU friends have a little less ping and a little more fun. So,
yeah, and speaking about guilds and where we're going to be placed on servers, I really wanted to talk about how the Golden Feather Tavern, here, let me give them a quick little shout out actually. The Golden Feather Tavern had a great guild summit. They had a morning summit and an evening summit with about 12 guilds in total or something like that. And it was
time.
Yeah, it was really good, well produced. They've put so much work into that show. And it's just been such a great opportunity for us to like kind of like as a community go in, see what type of guilds there are. And luckily we had Anduin who was there and was part of the guild summit. So what did you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good time. I've talked with almost all of the other guild leads that were involved in the summit, but it was nice to just kind of have a platform to discuss our views and opinions on a bunch of different questions. I think it's important to have these type of events because you get to know what is different about each guild, what makes them unique, what makes them stand out compared to each other. Because when you look inside the recruitment, all the recruitment pages and stuff on the forums or on the official Ashes Discord, well, it's literally, we want to do X, we want to do Y, we have this many members, we want to do this, do that. It's the same old, same old. So like, getting to hear guild leaders talk about their views, their philosophies on things, I think that is truly kind of the best part about it, because you get to pick each other's brains on stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There was a lot of really good topics. Most of them were about like, what does the guild want? What type of things are you looking for in like a member, and like how these things kind of like how are you going to be like competitive or non-competitive? How are you going to deal with like certain things? So if you haven't watched the Guild Summit, please go over to the Golden Feather Tavern's YouTube channel, and they have it all up on there. They have both the morning and evening. They are 3 hours long each, but they are definitely worth the watch. You get to see them react to not just like the questions that they make up, but also the questions that the other section had made up. So you get to see the reactions to both and all questions for both summits. So it was also just overall amazing. So yeah, please go check that out. Give them a watch through if you're really looking for like a guild right now. This is kind of like our little bias part of the guild where we're like kind of chilling for ourselves, but that if you're not a Grey Sentinels type of person, then maybe you'll find somebody else and they'll work for you guys as well. So yeah, it's just so much fun being able to work with the Golden Feather. So we oh no, what happened?
Going shilling for a guild on a guild podcast? How dare you?
Yeah, that's big yikes for us. From us, but
big yikes. Look how biased we are. Lloyd, we gotta give it up.
I do have to say thank you guys for the follows, by the way. Zephylar, Laughables, Xari, Merrills, Ben Kahobi, 420, and Mary VTuber. You guys have all been active and following us in the last week, at least. So there were some people that actually liked us and followed us while we were offline. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
what I like to hear.
the Guild Summit actually had what was it? We basically had like a role play kind of section of the morning summit with an added bonus of Jamie Chaos
and DA from Envious. It was kind of funny because like the questions were like they weren't roleplay focused, but roleplay was like involved in the discussions. So it was kind of funny watching them interact with the with all the guilds that roleplay on that first morning session. So it was a good time.
And thanks, Exiled. Yeah, the Golden Feather Tavern will be streaming every Tuesday at like 9 p.m. Eastern, usually 6 p.m. PST. And then they do like their Friday podcast as well. They also have all their Discord stuff over there. So yeah, if you go check them out, they do their Tavern Talk Tuesdays, which I'm usually a part of. Vladis has been coming on quite a bit often with that as well. They try to get anybody that is that has been on their show to just talk about anything and talk anything about Ashes of Creation. Although I think last week they've started opening that up to possibly new people, so you may be able to just go in and hop in the chat with them and me and just hang out and have a little discussion about anything Ashes of Creation that's happening in the community at the moment. So if you have opinions, go over there and check it out, and maybe voice your own.
One thing I would like to talk to you about from the Guild Summit was the question of server factions, like a server-wide alliance faction. What's your thoughts on that, Lloyd? Because I know you're a PvPer. You like to cross axes with people. So like, what is your viewpoint of a server-wide alliance? Where I'm not talking about like the Alliance versus the Horde. I'm talking if the Alliance and the Horde had a baby together, and
you're talking about like server coalitions, right? Like where you have, because guilds are going to be a max of 300 in Ashes of Creation, right? So you kind of what?
It's the question more along the lines of like, if the server comes together, right? Like the whole server comes together, creates a coalition, like you're saying, and then builds some faction based on it. So they're the ones who are choosing who fights, what dungeons are going to be unveiled, what nodes. What is your viewpoint of that? Because I personally, while a lot of my fellow guild leaders in the summit said it's a thing that'll obviously happen. Large factions that might take up half the server or most of the server will pop up. I personally am of the opinion I don't want that to happen, but I'll explain more of my viewpoints, but I want to hear yours on this.
Right. So let me give it a little bit of context for anybody that doesn't understand. Guild size max is 300 in Ashes of Creation. So you can't just have like everybody join one big guild and be one massive guild without having like a bunch of sister guilds or whatever. So when we talk about like a guild wide coalition, we're talking about like multiple 300 person guilds are all combining together to try to create a faction of the world or of the server, and to Holy Roman Empire it basically. And we want to I don't know about I don't want that to happen for the most part. So I think like if you have a world that's way too peaceful, then a game like Ashes of Creation, like why are you playing it? Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like the game is very PvP focused. I would not say it's a PvP game, but I would say that it has so many different systems that will make PvP a main focus of the game. And if you're not looking to be somewhat a part of fighting and having fun or whatever like that with other factions or whatnot, I honestly don't know why you're playing Ashes of Creation. But I mean, like there's also the fact that like you could be that pacifist person, you could play that pacifist character, and you could just be a crafter, and you could avoid all PvP as if you want, but you have to always expect that there's a chance somebody might try to kill you. But yeah, I'm outside the box. So yeah. I definitely think that there are possibilities for casual players who don't want to PvP to be that character, but I don't think it's possible for them to not interact with PvP in the world. But at the same time, Anduin, if there's a large faction of like a coalition trying to create this, I'm going to try to mess it up.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I am a person where I believe in community. I believe in helping your allies, being true to your oaths. No matter what, you never backstab people, because your word is your bond in real life and in these games. If you backstab someone one day, you're never going to be able to have friends in the future, because they're going to know you're a backstabber. So my thing is on the opposite of that, is that if these big factions exist, those are dangerous. They lead to toxicity. They lead to a small group, a cult of personality, if you will, like a clique that will end up controlling the actions of everyone. So while yes, it could be beneficial to most guilds to have peace, right? But then what happens to the small guilds that don't have influence? What happens to the big guilds who are not in the clique, right? They'll be blacklisted, ousted. They'll be targeted by the rest of that group. So I'm definitely against massive factions. I'm all for alliances and smaller like node alliance type factions and stuff because that's normal.
We're talking about like having like one or two metropolises all owned to themselves and trying to take over like the entire server.
No, I'm talking about all 5 of the metros aligning themselves as a faction. You know, compared to like if one metro and another metro decide to be buddy and they're like, fuck those other 3 metros, and they go out and they go fight them. I think that's fine. I think that's good for drama. It's good for gameplay, and it helps, you know, not destabilize. Well, some destabilization inside the server is good because it's about the rebirth, you know, the phoenix, if you will, of ashes. Is metros will topple, they will go back to crossroads, and then a new metro will rise up. You know, it's that the ashes to phoenix, you know. And I think that
ashes to ashes, actually.
Ashes to ashes, yes. Wow, Jesus, Celine Dion over here. But you know, it's the idea that as a guild, I think you should never be for a server-wide faction. You should be for building alliances, building up your own faction within your region. But like for the sake of gameplay, for the sake of competitiveness, because that's the other thing. PvEers, some PvP, some don't PvP, but the fact is they're still going to compete with each other. So PvEers are still going to compete for resources and areas. They're still going to compete for who does what raids at what times and things like that. So with that in mind, you know, I feel like these factions could also inhibit PvEers on the content they do, as well as who gets to raid at what times and what resources are allocated to which guilds. So that's the issue with these mega factions, because there will be haves and there will definitely be have-nots in these type of situations, which is why I think having smaller regional alliances that work together for aligned goals is the best way to do it.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if this is probably my dream thing to happen, is that there are 5 metropolises in the world, and it's just a Game of Thrones type of gameplay where you're like each your own little faction, you're all fighting with each other, trying to take over like certain zone of interest and stuff like that, end game, and really trying to topple each other, while there's like internal strife happening in between each of these metropolises vying for power, basically. Like, yeah, there can only be 5 metropolises, Colonel. So there's
5
80
metros, 5 castles.
Yeah, there's 85 nodes, and then 15 castle nodes. No, there was 103 originally, but then they increased the world map size, so then they brought it, but with increasing the world map size, they also reduced the amount of nodes. So there's 85 nodes and 15 castle nodes. So there's 100 total.
How many biomes is there again?
20
Was it 21?
21, 23, something like that.
So that means there's going to be what? 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 nodes per each biome around there?
I have no idea.
Give or take?
Sure.
I mean, that's what I'm... Sure.
I'll believe you on that
math?
one.
Can someone do the math on that? I mean, I'm not a math guy. I'm a history guy. So, like...
Well, we also don't know where those nodes are placed. There could be more in one biome. Like, the Riverlands is fucking huge. Yeah, like...
Right.
It could have way more nodes than some, like another node like the Jundark or something like that. But, yeah. So there's only like 5 metropolises that can be made, which means at any given point in time, there can only be about like 10 flying mounts, because flying mounts only happen at a level 6 metropolis node for the mayor of that. So yeah, there can only be like 10 flying mounts at a time. in your realm. So
well, and also the 5 that are dropped from raids and stuff like that. Well, you'll have dragon eggs, but that's like those are pick up. They survive for a month, and then you lose it, and someone else gets the egg the next month.
Yep. Which will be a lot of fun to fight over. I feel like that will be like some of the greatest PvX in the game is fighting for those big dungeon raids and getting that egg. I think that will be probably
absolutely
the most contested thing. But yeah, no. We at the Grey Sentinels, from my point of view, we don't like these server-wide coalitions, and if we have to, hey, Thogly with a raid of 8 people. Thank you guys.
Welcome in, Thogly.
Thank you, Thogly. How's it going? So, Thogly is also a guild leader of the Dunehold. They are a guild of all Dunir dwarves, and they're our friends, right?
I think Thogly's a friend of all. He's a very friendly dwarf.
I don't know. I've seen him beefing with some people. Thogly.
Thogly has some grudges he has to work out, but overall, Thogly does not hate anyone who doesn't give him a reason to hate him. So,
oh yeah, one thing that I wanted to say about the guild summit is that all of the guild leaders there, I want to play with them all, but I know we're not all going to be on the same server, unfortunately. So, what was your thoughts on like having us all play on the same server and whatnot? Because I think we are at least planning to be with Thogly and the Dunehold dwarves on our server, even if we're not, whether we are friend or foe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it, comes down to is, I'd like to be where Thogly and Dunehold goes because, we have some deep friendships and connections that go, back several years now. So, but there's also other roleplay guilds in the community. There's Des Revis with the Revis Order that we will be going on the same server with. There is VM Vera Mercantile Company with Samuel. There is Shaka Khan with
Shaka Khan.
God, what is Shaka Khan's guild? I can't remember the name of it, but she is a lovely individual, but the whole idea is like we'll be going with these guilds, and I want to make sure where our members are with friendly people who they can interact with. However, the roleplay community is going to choose an unofficial roleplay server. I'm assuming that multiple roleplay servers probably will pop up because there'll be people who don't like each other, so they'll make opposing roleplay servers most likely. But I think we will try to be wherever the most of our friends are going to be, right? Because I think that the whole point of an MMO is to experience that community, experience that fun of playing with other people, and I think a big thing, I've talked to Thogly about this at length. There's going to come a time where we will have to circle the wagons, where there will be big bad guilds or hostile groups that come onto the server we're in. So it's good to have friends, right? Because you're going to have to fight against those people. And if we go off on our own server without any connections, we're going to have to fight those people on our own. And, while I am sure of my own abilities, I don't want to put the rest of the guild through having to potentially fight a losing fight against people. So, I think it's very, it would make me very sad, Thogly. It should not be the case. We're going to work together on this.
I mean, we have 2 guild leaders talking about like if they're not going to end up on the same server, they're both going to be sad. So I think it's a 99% chance that we are going to be on the same server. Hire suspect if you need help fighting somebody. I would love that, except we like to fight too, so
Oh
Put 'em
yeah,
up.
we have our own PvPers. When I talk about not being able to fight people or well, no, not that. Not even that. Scratch that. When I talk about not putting my guild through situations, it's because I don't want to actively put my guild in danger. I don't want to actively force my more PvP centric members to have to fight all the time. You know, there has to be a balance. Obviously, our PvPers are going to be out there kicking ass. They're going to be defending, attacking, doing whatever in the PvP sphere, getting our name out there as, you know, great PvPers. But on the same, on the other hand, we do have PvEers. We do have crafters and stuff that they're less interested in PvP. So I'm not going to make decisions as a guild leader to put their enjoyment of the game on the line when it comes to selecting a server. Like, we're not going to go where we know where the toxic, sweaty, tryhard guilds are, because we know they're just going to harass the ever living hell out of, you know, whoever they can. So that's something we want to look for.
And we're talking about all these like possible friendships, possible, people that we want to play with, whether we're like, even if they're our enemies or whatever like that. There's been a little bit of whispers in the winds of a kingdom project over the last few years within the roleplay community. Can you shed any light on that? Because like, I have no idea like what the kingdom project really is, or who it exists for, and what we're trying to accomplish with that.
Well, you see, Lloyd, it's a project for a kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just it, man. No, I'm joking.
Very, like, very secretive, apparently. Jesus, secret. I hit the confidentiality folder.
Bryax, take him out back, after this stream. So anyway, so Lloyd's leaking stuff. No, the Kingdom Project, is the idea of building up a faction, a regional faction within the server that we go with. It kind of came to me way back when the game, when the game was still young, and it was before 2019, and I kind of thought, I've role played, I've been in all these different games where we all talk about doing great things, we all talk about building these factions, but it's just us role playing together. It's just us, coming to a faction event once a month, and we're quote unquote a faction. What my goal with the Kingdom Project is to get it a little more serious, get a living, breathing faction that, our crafters are interacting with crafters from other guilds that are in the faction. We have our PvPers might be doing spars, doing scrims against other PvPers within the faction. We as a faction might declare war on others. We could raise funds to do exploration. We could do, create big major trade deals with people around Vera on our server. One such faction that is going to exist is like Thokli and the dwarves. Like, I think it's important to have factions, these regional factions, because it builds a flavor to the game that you don't get from other games. Because people can, on the roleplay side of things, you can, have that political role play, you can have that slice of life, you can have people who are known as tavern owners, and people will go to that tavern in the world, and it's always there, it's always open. You can be the guy who is selling your melons.
Melons here. We've got melons.
Yeah, melons, or as the all-powerful cabbage seller.
My cabbages.
My cabbages. I think it's important to keep in mind that while having your guild leads sit down and role play with each other, that's not fun for your average people. What's fun is creating a world, a playground, if you will, where your members can immerse themselves by playing out their characters as they exist in the world, not because they have to stand guard at some political meeting between the big wigs on a server, but because they can go and they can interact with, the tradesmen, the people who are masters of whatever class, or any of your religious or other faction leaders within it. So I think those things are important because, well, that's what the Kingdom Project is all built around. It's the idea that immersion needs to be more than just we're going to host events. It needs to be, you can find content, you can find roleplay, you can find other people to play with any time of the day because you know that they're part of the Kingdom Project, right?
And this is kind of why I wanted to quote unquote leak the Kingdom project, is because like that sounds like an amazing time, just being able to go in and find your roleplay content however you want to do it, without outside of events, inside like light roleplay, just passing through Leaky Lloyd. Oh god. I'm just thinking of the Cloud9 sneaky copy pasta where he's like his butthole is leaky. I found C9 sneaky
Jesus
or something
Christ.
like that. Oh god.
What's wrong
anyways,
with you, Lloyd?
dude, Sneaky is one of my favorite streamers. I'm not gonna lie. Always has been.
Lloyd.
No, but I wanted to talk about the Kingdom Project mostly because like having light roleplay and just roleplay throughout the MMO that doesn't feel like super forced is something that I want. I definitely want roleplay that is very gameplay focused and reactive to player character role.
To the world, right?
To the world, yeah, exactly. And I feel like Ashes is that world that I can literally be my character because of the overarching systems within it. So I think that's really, really cool. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up is mostly because, maybe there's more people that want to do something like that. Maybe want to interact and play on the same server as us. And I think that would be really cool. And yeah, I want some of you as my enemies. I want some of you as my drama and tea time, whether it's in character or out of character. I don't really care. It's going to be fun either way. And yeah, I'm just really, really excited for something like that. I'll fight you. I'll fight you all day. I'll kiss you, Xari.
Xari is like, I'll be your lover. Xari, I love you, buddy.
I'll kiss you and you like it.
Yeah, I think it's important to keep in mind always, is every single guild, regardless of our recruitment posts all looking almost all the same. I mean, like the only thing that separates a lot of guilds is, what race are they going to be playing? Otherwise, we kind of all are like, yeah, we're going to be doing X, Y, and Z, So when you cut away all of that, every single guild has different cultures. They have different, how they exist in the world, right? So seeing how these people exist, how they interact, it's what's going to bring this game to life. It's why Steven's all about pushing that risk versus reward. It's why he's about pushing literally hard-coded in competitive things into the game to make it so those guild cultures clash. So you have different guild leaders, having rivalries, having friendships, building those things. So
and one thing that was talked about on the guild summit was like guild size, and there was such a wide variety of like, what is a small guild, what is a medium guild, what's a large guild, and that's with the context that 300 is the like max guild size for that, and as well as other people accounting for like alliances. And should your guild be a multi-guild thing all in one alliance to get like certain perks, or to just increase your server ranks to be like one mega guild within the alliance system? So what are your thoughts on that, and like what are your aims for the Grey Sentinels with all of that, if you want to reiterate that point, because I think it is a very, very interesting point, and I want to give you your time to rant on that sort of topic.
First, hold that thought. I need to.
Okay.
I've contemplated putting the spelling of gray up to a vote in the gray
Let's go.
Sentinels.
I'm
We
all for the
will
E.
see, though. We will see, because the issue is a lot of our artwork has the A on it, which means there'll be a lot of stuff we need to fix.
It's called Photoshop.
This-
It's fine.
See, I think people like the A. See, there's A stands in here, man.
I'm E gang.
You're E gang. But anyway, so to your question, God, what was your question again, real quick?
Oh yeah. Guild size, and the alliance system with that. Do you need me to reiterate the whole thing?
So like the perks and stuff in that go with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So what's your opinion on like guild size? What's a small guild, medium guild, large guild? And would you consider the alliance system broadening to be like larger than a large guild? Like would it be like extra size? Would it be like an extra large guild and then like multiple of those alliance things are like a mega guild? Like how do you do
I would
that?
say a small guild is whatever is the minimum for all of the perks in the game. So let's say that's 40 or 50 people, right?
Okay.
If that's what actually no. What I would consider a small guild is anything that's up to competing in all of the content in the game, which is 40-man raids. So that's kind of what I would say. 40-man up to 50-man would be a small guild, because they're going to focus more on whatever sorts of, oh my gosh, the buffs, benefits, that they can get. And then a medium guild is 50 to 150. And then once you get to 150, then you're going to 150 to 250 is a large guild. I believe that a extra large guild is 250 onwards, because at that point you have so many people in your guild that as a guild leader, it's hard to interact with that many people on a regular basis, so you know everybody, so you know what they're going through and stuff like that. And I think at that point, your goals are no longer small. You're no longer just trying to exist in the world. No, you're trying to control the world. You're trying to influence the different things that go on in it. You are going to be leading factions. You're going to be influencing elections in metros. You're going to be doing all these different things as an extra large guild. So I think that with that in mind, I hope there is a balance between the benefits and member size, because if they do too much benefits for having less members, you're going to have guilds that are these mega guilds making 30 guilds that are all 40-man guilds, instead of having large guilds, right? So there needs to be a balance there. You can't have the small guilds being just absolutely, cracked at what they do. Numbers should count for something, right? But at the same time,
I just can't imagine seeing Gray Sentinels 1 through 50 on like all the little small guilds, and however you have to like control the leaders of all of those. That would just suck, in my opinion.
I would hate it, right? It would be absolutely terrible, because I mean, you've been in our guild for, well, Lloyd, when did you join? It's been like a couple years now, hasn't it?
4 or 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
Like you've been here, you've seen drama pop up and leave. Egos happen online. You're going to have people who you disagree with. So that's why splitting your guild up into smaller guilds leads to the potential of having catastrophic schisms that happen in your organization that can lead to, literally, instead of like 3 or 4 people leaving, you could have an entire pillar in your community, like 50, 60 people leaving because they're in that section guild.
Right.
So that's
we even had like the talks, kind of like what Haru Charm brought up in chat, is that we had thought about splitting up each pillar into a different section of the alliance system, even at one point, right? So that was part of our discussion when making this guild, was like, should we have the PvP branch be its own Grey Sentinel guild and be allied to it, or should we have certain alliances that kind of like help us out, and that we're close to, so that when we use the alliance system, it's going to help bolster us? Because technically what the alliance system can allow people to do, if you think that 300 people is just not big enough for a guild, let me bring up the second branch and the third branch and the fourth branch. Now I have 1,200 members in my guild. That's where I start calling that a mega guild, and I wouldn't call, and then anything over that, it's just like, you're trying, I don't know what you're trying to do, like,
right,
like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, and that's my thing, is I feel like, you know, let's say there's 3 guilds in your alliance, and they're all 300 members. 900 members of a guild should be able to compete against a guild that's split into 3 guilds that has, you know, let's say 300 members total in their alliance, because the guild is separated into those 3 guilds, right? 100 in each. That 300-man alliance should not be able to compete with the 900-man alliance. They should be able to hold their own on the battlefield, but in no way should 300 people be able to fight 900 and have unless they are like absolutely skilled and absolutely tactically minded, they should not be winning that fight.
I would like to bring up the Sparta, you know, the 300.
Well, you also got to see that was a tactical victory. They chose to fight in a literal tight valley instead of, you know, fighting in this grand open plain. Like, the thing is like, we're going to have fights that, yeah, there will be 300 styled fights where a small group can hold off a Zerg, you know, because they're using choke points. But in the grand scheme of things, so let's look at the Node Wars, for example. The Node Wars video showed there were choke points. There were areas you could have a small force hold back the enemy and funnel them through and kill them off, you know, in large chunks, because you can be more organized that way. However, there was also open areas where, you know, your numbers can spread out. They can change up where their attacks are going. They can move. They can flank. Do these things. That is, I think, the true balance of the game. You make choke points in the game. You make open areas. So you make it less about what buffs, what abilities do the small guilds have, and you make it more about choosing and picking your fight locations based on the size of group you have. Because if you're a small guild, going into the open combat or open world against, you know, a 900-man alliance is suicide, and it should be suicide. So,
right,
yeah.
Which kind of brings up when you mentioned like the perk points, it kind of brings up like what is the meta gonna be, and I think the real answer is no guild knows exactly what they're gonna do yet, because we haven't seen the perk points. We don't know what they look like, and we literally can't see how that might interact with certain things. So I think
right.
A lot of that is to be determined on, like, meta is community, fight me about it. Yeah, true. I mean, like, it is kind of that, but like, it is also part of like just what do the game mechanics bring to the world, right? And that's what everybody's looking at. Everybody's gonna look for like what's gonna work best for them, whether they're a crafter guild, whether they're a like all cleric mercenary guild like Coin is, whether they are doing kind of like the multi-branch system like us, Warforged, the Gilded House, like all these guilds are trying their own thing, and whatever the game mechanics are going to let them achieve, I think that's going to be the meta for them. And I think it's really important for just people in general, like the general community, when you think about these things, it is never, when you join a guild, it is not going to be just meta to do one thing. It is going to be meta to do what's good for your group of people. And I think that's the way that Intrepid has been designing the game, which is why I'm so fully like, this could be good. Like, this is why I'm hyped for it, is because metas exist everywhere and they will continue to exist. But what is good for you? What is good for this situation? What is good for a PvE dungeon? What's good for a PvP raid? What's good for like a caravan run? Like, what are these? What is best for this, and what is the meta for that? I think will change depending on which activity you're going to do, and I think that's what makes this really, really, really cool. As well as they're doing that with like guild perks and all that stuff. So I find that really fun. You can like maybe find a counter to a meta is another way to like look at these things. So I'm just really excited for like everything that Ashes of Creation has to offer on that. What's your opinion on like metas and what the Grey Sentinels may have when approaching metas?
I think that we're going to have hardcore groups within our guild that will respect whatever the meta is for the current patch. We're not going to be going with what random YouTuber or Twitch streamer says is the meta at the time. I'm hoping that our members will be doing the work to actually like find out which things are in the meta, what things are actually building a competitive scene and keeping up with it. With doing that, that will allow us to be able to enjoy the game all that much more. So I think that we will have groups in the guild that absolutely are hunting for whatever is the meta, whatever is the best in slot. But I also think that there's going to be groups within the guild that are a little more casual, that might just be out there to pick flowers or go in and support. Let's say in a siege, these might be the people who are working on the siege engines because they don't like fighting on the front lines, things like that. Those type of players are important in a guild because those type of players help influence things on the grand side of things, instead of just being here and there. I think if you discount your more casual players, you're discounting a huge chunk of people who can be very loyal, who can be very helpful to your guild. They just don't have the time to put in as people who are in the more hardcore crowd. So,
yeah. So I'm working on a little something here in the background, but I wanted to kind of poke your thoughts on maybe a little bit about like GS lore and what we got going on in the background with what we're trying to accomplish. Would you be able to speak on a little bit of that? Is it too early for some of that?
What do you mean by GS lore?
Like our
because there's a lot of it, Lloyd. Like
yeah. So what are we trying to show the community, or what are we coming out with? What do we got in the making? What do we got in the pot?
You're talking about the social media stuff.
Yeah.
We'll keep that in the pot until next month. That's
okay. So we're still building that.
We're still picking out the ingredients, but get hype. It's gonna be pretty crazy next month with all the stuff we're unveiling for everybody. But I think it's important to keep in mind that a big reason why we are getting more involved in social media is because we want to let people know who we are. For like the last 2 years or so, GS has been kind of taking a more internal approach with things, and now we are getting back to being external. For the longest time, we were kind of a household name when it came to roleplay guilds. People pointed to us as being one of the primary roleplay guilds. That changed in the last few years just because we haven't been that active. But we're trying to change that, and that's part of what our social media pushes here. So
Gotcha.
yeah, so it'll be a good time. But I think Exiled and Colonel are going to be excited about stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. We are definitely in the works of some stuff. I definitely want to try this. It's probably gonna mess up because I just added it to the scene, and we'll see how this goes. 1 second. Bear with me.
What are you doing, Lloyd?
Bear with me, stream. Oh no.
Lloyd, what are you doing? Don't unveil. Oh, you're talking about doing.
I was trying to do the GS Gruel thing, but it's bugging. Wait, hold on. Maybe it's not bugging.
Wait, we gotta have an ad time, everybody. An ad break. I think.
Oh, it's not working.
No, Lloyd, you gotta do it, please. They need to know.
Where is it?
Gotta know.
I literally can't
Where
find it. I can't find the source. It's playing.
Source of the. Exiled. Send him the video.
I have the video. It's not working. Shit. I think you guys could hear it, maybe, but I'm sorry, chat. Womp womp. I'll have to get it ready for next time. I'm an idiot. So we have this ongoing. You guys could hear it, maybe. Okay, here, I'll let it play. Let it play.
Can't hear it.
Colonel said they could. I'll let it play.
Wake up, sleepyhead, sun's high in the sky. Pour a bowl of GS gruel and kiss the taste goodbye. It's bland, it's blah, it's wonderfully dull. With every lifeless bite, feel a comforting lull. GS gruel, so delightfully dreary, it's almost cruel. A spoonful of nothing, a bowl of blah. It's the only cereal that's totally bah. From a box so boring,
a little
it's
quiet.
A cardboard dream makes gray skies bluer, or so it would seem. With flakes that sog as soon as they're wet. One bowl of GS gruel and you'll never forget. GS gruel, GS gruel. Every spoonful's no surprise when the flavor's this null. Grab your spoon and try to stir up some joy. It's the cereal equivalent of an old broken toy. No colors, no fun, just grains of despair. But hey, at least it's something to put in your hair. No need for sugar, it wouldn't improve. GS gruel's the breakfast your bowels won't be able to move. Feed it to plants or use it as grout. Stir in some pointless hope where there's usually doubt. Yet in this blandness, a true love is tough. 'Cause when you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere but up. Grab yourself a great big bowl of GS gruel.
Order now.
And that was GS Gruel, guys. Just so I was like, I have no idea how long this video is, and I was like, this could go on a long time. But now now I'm hungry for oatmeal and grits. God, I can't wait to have some bland food, man.
Dude, it's GS Gruel, man. It was made by it wasn't made by our guild cook, I'll tell you that. So yeah, I think the real secret ingredient is the metal shavings from Bryex's forge. I actually think that's part of. Yeah, I think that's one of the secret ingredients, and we call that love. We call that love, Lloyd.
That's why when our PvPers say that we eat nails for breakfast, it's actually real, you know?
It's actual nails. Like,
It's actual nails.
you know,
Oh man.
Thankfully, I legitimately would not mind getting a cardboard box made for this, so I could just have it in my cupboard. And people are like, "What is this cereal?" And I'm like, "You don't want to eat it. It's just there, man." Like,
It's there. It's enough. Oh man. Yeah, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of this stuff is made in our community. And I think that's just really, really cool. I really want to put like all the creative people that are in making this stuff for the guild as like, you guys are all just incredible people. Like Exiled, Colonel, Morador, Key, Garrett. You guys are all like even Shay comes up. I was gonna say Shay comes up with like so much stuff. She helps out with like the census that we just did, which we could definitely talk about that before we wrap up the show. But like, you guys are all amazing at what you do, and it's really cool to see a community come together and make stuff together. So I just wanted to say that even Morador and Exiled during the Golden Feather Tavern, they had a little commercial, and Morador came in second place with Exiled Ranger doing voice acting and Colonel helping out with the writing of the script. So I think that's awesome. So I think you're all great and have a lot of talent, and I'm just happy to work and play alongside you guys. So
it's gonna be it's gonna be a good time. You know, I'm looking to that wonderful experience in Ashes.
Yeah.
As we build up together. So
yeah. So I know we had a 3-hour long meeting about the census. Is there anything that like really popped out to you? I know I'm kind of popping this out to you on like the spot, but oh shit,
it's scary, Lloyd. Holy shit.
I imagine you looked at quite a bit of that data on your own, and might have some cool facts to share with everybody that maybe outside of our
give me a second. I need to pull it up then. Jesus.
Give you a second. I mean, speaking of great people, Shay, you did such great work finding all that data, and literally we every year we do like an annual the lack of red guy is concerning. every year we do like an annual census, just like the United States does, and possibly other countries. I don't know. I don't live there. I'm ignorant. But
wait, other countries exist?
Wait, what? What the fuck is a kilometer? I don't know, man.
What the fuck is a kilometer? I think one of the... Okay, I got it pulled up finally. One of the things that Shay and I kind of found interesting was actually our age, the ages of our membership. And we found out that most of our membership came in around like the golden age of World of Warcraft. So like during Burning Crusade and Wrath, and a little bit after is when people really came into getting into MMOs, because most of our population is late 20s to mid 30s to late 30s, So I think looking at it in that mindset, it's kind of interesting because MMOs got really popular in the mid to early 2000s, and we haven't seen a lot of change in MMOs. They've been turning into more of a single player experience, which isn't pulling people in. Like, you're not pulling people from playing Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever to play MMOs these days, because there's nothing. Yeah, or Valorant or whatever you're playing, because there's nothing new in MMOs that actually, interest people. The challenge isn't there, and it's oftentimes the grind is what is the challenge, which, let's be honest, if the only thing that makes your game challenging is you being able to sit in your chair for multiple hours on end, that's not a good gaming experience. That's not what should be your guild game should be built around. So, another thing that we found was interesting.
Well, while you're looking for that, I wanted to highlight. I had the same thought process, Carcajo. on basically like what would the younger generation actually like something like Ashes of Creation? Like, to me, I'm thinking yes. And the reason why I'm thinking yes is because it seems like most of their combat design is oriented around like reactive based gameplay, and I think that's a really smart idea, because if you have reactive based gameplay, which is really hard to accomplish in an MMO because of ping and, you know, where people live and stuff like that, but if you can do that and make it work, it's going to be like the game for anybody to go to, whether you're a zoomer or not. And I think Ashes may have that if they continue on like this reactive gameplay type of combat design. If they stray away from that, then maybe they're only going to reach out to like the older generation and the millennial generation and above. But outside of that, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of follow and see how the age range changes over time, because right now it's just everybody like 30 and up
you
for the
want to
most
know how
part.
it changes there, Lloyd? It's going to get older.
I mean, it could be.
Dude, I started GS when I was like 23, so like I'm 30 now. So we've been waiting for this game for a hot minute. Yep, we're getting there. Actually, I found one that was kind of interesting, and I think it's kind of reflective of MMOs' racial makeup in general. Which race is everyone interested in playing as their main for Ashes? We had primarily elves and humans are going to be like the largest amount of and by the way, it's humans as in Kalar, not the Valoon. Valoon were far smaller. But like your Kalar and your two types of elves were the most popular within our guild, and then you also had Tolnar.
Okay.
You know, I think that this is reflective to the idea that people want to play pretty races, right? They want to look pretty. So they want to play as elves. They want to play as, well, some people play as humans because they can't imagine themselves playing in something that's not a human. They can't relate to that.
I want to be a pretty boy human.
Lloyd.
What's up?
Pretty boy human. Where like the Tolnar feed into the people who like to play beast races in different games. I must say that people who are furries tend to lean towards Tolnar because, well, it's more in line of what they like to play as in games. So that would be the explanation of why Tolnar is so popular.
One of my friends, he's a furry, and we like to call him our little fuzzy. He's actually in our guild. I may have to ask you about it, but like, yeah, we have a furry in our guild. So, and he's our little fuzzy. So.
We have a few of them. Yeah, I think there's a few of them in the guild. The thing is, if you look at statistics, because MMOs have sometimes shared their statistics. I know WoW did a statistic about how many players do whatever, and just flamethrower, Jesus. But anyway, WoW did statistics on what races are made, like, and which ones made it to max level. And they found that almost always it was the humans, the blood elves, and the night elves that were the primary ones. Orcs were the lowest population, and then followed by trolls and I think dwarves. Somehow I think there were more gnomes than there were dwarves, which I don't understand why, because dwarves are pretty badass.
It was because of Joker probably, or Pinky or whatever, and then they had like troll and dwarf hunters. So yeah,
right. But it's a common occurrence in MMOs, that people want to play the pretty races, right? So I think that this leads me into a huge rant that we don't have time for. But, it's the idea of I would like to see every single race's type of node in the game. We're not going to see those in higher levels. The only reason we're probably going to see a dwarven node is because Thogli is organizing all the dwarves to go to one area, one region, and build up a dwarven metro. So, we would not get that if
Right.
we didn't have people organizing for those things. Otherwise, most things would be Kalar, Empyrean, Pyrai, and Tolnar. So, I think it is important to keep that in mind that, while we do have some race guild, like some focused race guilds, above and beyond, there's going to be most of your guilds are going to be non-racial focused guilds in the game, because that's just how MMO gamers play. People want the freedom to play whatever race they want, and unfortunately, a byproduct of that, and with how Steven is designing the game, is that you're going to only have certain nodes pop up with certain influence. I have been pushing for something that I think Thogli would actually enjoy this thought process, is
Okay.
having how Stormwind is set up. Having it be where the city might take the overall theme of whichever is the primary race that influences that node.
Oh.
But I think it would be cool if you had, like a Dwarven district or an Orc district, or, as your secondary, third influential races, that they're just parts of the city that, have a little bit more, it's your Chinatown, in San Francisco. I think that would be interesting to see, and also help to get more diversity when it comes to seeing cities get built up, because then you're going to actually see those architecture styles, those cultural styles from the different types. So
yeah, I think that would be really, really cool if they ended up doing that. I mean, you're going to be building up all of the metros and everything like that anyways. So like, if you were able to pick like certain sections based on the population percentage of the node, like that'd be really cool.
Right.
I'm not sure how that would work. But I would really, really love that. But this week was tech stream. Next week, or this month was a tech stream. Next month is the Bard. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how that's going to turn out. So
Bard and potentially A2 date reveal.
Yeah. Actually, Margaret said that they are very, very on track with that. So look forward for A2 date reveal. Look forward for Bard. Look forward for Alpha 2 keys coming up, because that's also a thing. Also, the content creator program is coming up, so I'm looking at that as well. So if you have certain content creators that you want to follow and stuff like that, the official content creator might be coming up soon as well. And then I should be entering some of these spot tests here shortly. No emails have gone out, but we should expect, if you were an Alpha 1 tester, there will be some spot test emails going out.
Lloyd, not to
throughout the
burst
week and
your
the month.
bubble, but if you are chosen, it is going to be NDA, so don't talk about it.
Of course, of course.
I shit you not. They will.
I've signed nothing yet. I've signed nothing
not
yet.
But they will when you get it. So
I know.
Tell people.
I was part of the original NDA, so I haven't said anything like that. But all the information that I've released has been after the NDA release for Alpha 1. But yes, I may be Leaky Lloyd for the Grey Sentinels, but no Leaky Lloyd for anything that's NDA. I promise.
Leaky Lloyd, Jesus.
Yeah, if I'm suddenly busy and I'm no longer being seen around, maybe something's
also,
happening.
August 2nd's coming up quick, Lloyd. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, if I don't show up on next podcast, you'll know what happened to me. Elo chopped me like a tree.
Elo chopped you like a tree.
and
That is true.
report the Grey Sentinels for killing me. That's basically my thought process on that.
That was Leaky Lloyd. Hashtag Leaky Lloyd on a shirt. It should be on pants.
Oh my
It should be
god.
like a across the butt.
Oh my god, like the juicy?
Like the juicy
Just leaky.
Hashtag leaky.
Oh my god. All
Oh,
right.
good.
We gotta end this here. I do have somebody
Okay.
that we can raid over to, but Anduin, is there anything you'd like to plug here, say at the end of the podcast?
Yeah, real quick. Keep on the lookout for our next podcast. It will be the Sunday after the next live stream. That's kind of what we try to shoot for when it comes to our podcast, because then we can talk about whatever's going on with the live stream, as well as, a regular time for people. So the other thing is, if you aren't in the Grey Sentinels, but you're interested in joining, come join into our Discord. I believe that is actually in here somewhere. But anyway, if you want to post that, Lloyd, the link to the invite for that. But the big thing is, if you're interested in joining the Grey Sentinels, or even just learning more about us, or just being a friendly face that joins in, shoots the shit with us, come on in. We'd love to have you. We definitely are a guild that likes to have fun and enjoy our time together. So yeah, that's all I got, Lloyd.
All right, here's our Discord link, because I don't have the other links. So if you want to come join the Discord, here's the link. Ill prepared. This week's been pretty busy for me. We had the live stream. I had my reverse 1v1 with Vladis. I had the Tangents of Creation last night, where Steven actually showed up and knows I exist now, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mentioned some not so family friendly things on the stream while he was watching, so that was pretty fun. As always, that you can expect from Jamie's Tangents of Creation. Apparently I'm a shill now. That happened as well. And I will also be on Jamie's Pathfinder quest on Thursday. So we are going to be doing a Pathfinder campaign in the Ashes of Creation world. We don't know too much lore, so it's going to be really loosey-goosey with the lore. Oh yeah, Korean. Yeah, we both were very unfamily friendly on that stream, but it was fun. But yeah, Quirian's going to be there as well. Aura Frostline is going to be on the Pathfinder thing, and we are going to be basically wrapping up. That should be everything from the Ashes of the Grey. We will see you August 4th, Sunday of next month. If you have any questions or topics you'd like for us to discuss, please feel free to join our Discord. It's linked inside already. And once again, thank you all for coming. Stay golden and righteous as always, and we'll see you August 4th, Sunday next month. I am going to try to raid out Theory Forge, try to keep...
We gotta have our outro song still, Lloyd. Remember?
Oh god, yeah. Oh gosh.
The outro.
Oh god, thank god for reminding me. We're gonna have the outro sound, then we're gonna raid Theory Forge. Okay guys, bye.
Of every blessing of Sentinels we sing, raise our swords, our hearts professing honor to our Legion King. Our emblem, the griffin soaring, guides us as we fight, roaring strength and valor in each night's quest. Clothed in glory we are blessed. Great Sentinels, armors, our mighty Lord's chosen. In our ranks our spirits awake. With the griffins and the nail bound, let the chorus resound. Our swords and do loyalty, bound by honor, bound by grace, fighting steadfast and true. In the world of fair, our sacred place, led by our Lord Anduin came on, under the griffin sharp gaze. We stand in battle for our valor proven, a righteous missionary moving. Teach us, griffin ever soaring, all truth, no matter the cost, guiding our blades, our hearts exploring. To be lost, uphold truth, no matter the cost. Raise our swords, our hearts professing honor to our liege and king. In battle fought, our valor proven, our righteous missionary moving. With the griffin's emblem bound, let the chorus resound. Steel and war.